Welcome back. I don't even know if I need to say welcome back. We are here at the Banger in the Hangar Container.
Right.
This is the explainer in the container.
Explainer in the container. Banger in the Hangar.
Or it's the complainer in the container.
Yeah.
In the container in our cozy little room here behind the Houston Vert Ramp.
This is the bomb shelter.
We are here with Peter Furnee.
Hello.
Furnee is what a lot of people call you because they don't know shit, but it's Furnee.
They read it, but whatever.
It's Furnee.
It is. Thank you.
It is Furnee. Is that France?
French. It's Dutch with a French sound.
Dutch with a French sound.
Somebody wanted to avoid getting killed, like during some weird war or something. Put an EE on the end of Fern. So,
again, we've known you for I don't know how long, since the skate park of Houston days. So he traveled into Texas, skate park of Houston days. Our podcast is about Texas history, but we also want to bring people that love Texas or love Texans or have been involved in that, and that's why this guy's here.
yeah, I thought about moving here in '89. Like as soon as I graduated from high school, that was a big thing. But
So where did you go to high school and what brought you to Texas the first time?
so I moved from New Hampshire in '88 to the DC area.
Okay.
And, skated the metal there, Cedar Crest. That was just amazing. And then it drew Texans.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of the DC people came down to Texas. It was actually Pennington and Donaldson that came up for like a week or whatever.
To Cedar Crest?
To Cedar Crest,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Met them, hung out with them for a bit, and took them around to some spots.
So for time frame, was Brian pro yet at that point?
He just got his Epic model.
Epic. So that was his
88.
first pro model
Yep.
that lasted less than a year, half a year, something like that.
89,
but he was traveling.
He was on BBC.
I bought two of them. So
Yeah.
the time was I bought one, and then I replaced it and bought another one. So probably 8 months.
Right. And so that was your first introduction to the Texans, was when they came up there?
No, I had seen Troy. I'd seen a lot of like the Texas Embassy guys that come
Okay.
up.
Yeah.
Angry Andy was around all the time.
Right. He's still angry.
Oh yeah,
Okay. He's going to be here this week.
he's beautifully angry.
He is beautifully angry. So to kind of get this rolling, we're going to spend a few minutes here with Peter Furnee. Before that happened, Texas. What was... When people talked about Texas skating or Texas, what did you hear about it? What did you think or know? Or was it like I had no fucking idea?
The three.
The three.
Yeah, Johnny, Craig, and Jeff.
Johnny, Craig, and Jeff.
And
Okay.
that was what Texas was. I mean, any given time, all three of those guys were hitting a top 8. In New Hampshire's reading magazines and like, oh, these guys are rad. Like, oh, Johnny's rad. Oh, Craig's bio. Oh, Phillips is rad. Like, so a lot of it was just like reading magazines and seeing the videos. But there was just, it was clear that something was different about Texas.
What do you think was different when you looked at them? Because when you talk about each of those three, it's unique styles for sure. When you talk about those three specifically,
it wouldn't even be so much the styles. Like I was so young, I wasn't paying attention to style yet. I mean, Phillips was just bio, and so like I paid more attention to his power. I think what it was is we were East Coast,
right?
And Texas wasn't West Coast. It was and it was like. We felt that we had more in common with the Texans as far as like some imaginary, like, like we're going to go to war, like capture the flag, whatever it was,
Yeah.
Like we're going to fight on the Texans side. We always felt that the Texans would fight on the East Coast side.
That's definitely was the feeling here. Because I remember when Cedar Crest got started, everybody here was like, oh, dude, they built a legit vert ramp in Virginia.
Right.
It's metal. It's got pool coping. Like it's a real ramp, not like all those California ramps.
Right.
And what years were that? Because that was after the Virginia Beach stuff. So what years was Cedar Crest?
I think it like late '84 was when it first people first started skating it, but it kind of had its heyday, kind of '85, '86, and went on till just in the beginning of '91.
So pretty much mirrored kind of the skate park of Houston time frame, Kahuna time. Big vert ramp. Now, how big was Cedar Crest? Remind me.
9.5, 1.5, same as the Hurricane.
Same as the
had
Hurricane.
more flat.
Okay.
Hurricane had 14 feet of flat, I think. Cedar Crest only had 12.
So when you came to Houston and you looked at the Hurricane, you skated the Hurricane.
Yeah, the Hurricane was why I came.
Right.
But I looked at that Kahuna. I'm like, that's a foot bigger.
I'm sorry, the Hurricane. Kahuna. You skated the Kahuna too.
Yes, but it was gnarly. It was like, that's a foot bigger and 24 feet wide.
Did it have the concrete flat bottom at that point?
Underneath the metal, I think.
Yeah, that
Underneath
was
the metal.
gnarly.
I just I remember I did a rock and roll looking over the edge, and it was the first time I looked down off a 12-foot ramp, and I'm like standing there, and time stopped. I'm like, I'm on the Kahuna. It's fucking amazing. It's fast as shit, and I'm way up here.
Yeah.
This is a real ramp, and in 2011, we built a ramp in West Virginia, and it was a dead-on Kahuna.
Oh, wow.
24 feet wide, 10 and 2. It was, we did pool coping on it.
Did you do steel?
No, it was indoors. We did birch, but everybody's like, "Why'd you choose those dimensions?" I'm like, the Kahuna.
To the Huna. Yep.
So part of our theory on that, and before I get to that real quick, I love this quote. Todd Prince on Love Letters with Grosso talked about a lot of motherfuckers climbed up to the Kahuna and put their board down and looked and said, fuck that, and walked back down the stairs. Something to that effect.
Yeah,
and there's some
why.
truth to that, and that's kind of what you're saying. But one of the things we talk about in this podcast about Texas history and about its importance is that Dennis Epinette, who built that ramp, after the previous, which was down the street, and then before that, there's a U-ramp that's part of a metal shop that there's some really old pictures of.
That was
and
the Texas Twister.
Texas Twister.
Yeah.
It graduated into the Kahuna, and the Kahuna, our argument is that changed skateboarding in the sense of what happened to Vert and what happened to, I know you hate the word amplitude, but all that stuff, and that changed it completely, and that's what you saw from
absolutely. Well, it's funny that you say that. So Roper, speaking of Texas, when we met back up, we hadn't seen each other in probably 20 years. So we met up, and he helped me put out another copy of a zine, and we interviewed Ken. And Ken brought up some very important things: the crossbone lean air.
Yep, the
crossbone lean air was invented on the Kahuna.
On the Kahuna, yeah.
Because Chris Miller felt that he could go high enough to do it.
Yep,
I did not know the cross. Now I know that
it was the Shut Up and Skate 86.
I know the rocket air and Hosoi
that was
perfected that.
85.
But the Kahuna was blue.
Yes. Yeah.
Yep.
85, Hosoi invented the rocket air because he had the hang time, and 86,
Chris Miller
had been trying to do these lean airs that he tweaked out, and he had so much hang time on the Kahuna, he had them fully tweaked, and Grant Britton had these amazing photos that showed up.
Do you remember it was called the windshield wiper?
Yeah, the windshield wiper.
That's right. Yeah. I do remember that.
And it later got renamed to the crossbone, but he was just calling it. He's like, yeah, it's a lean air, and I try to do like a windshield wiper with it.
Now, if you know anything about our podcast, I know shit. I don't know years. Carjack with the photographic memory. Was that the Chris Miller, Tony Hawk?
No, that was 91.
That was 91. Oh, that's
where
right.
Chris almost knocked himself out.
He did knock himself out on 540 and came back and made it.
And then Tony won.
We got to turn off the music for a minute.
Yep.
And
yeah, when they gave out the trophies, they got down, third place. And when they called second place, Tony came running out and grabs the second place trophy. And they said, no, Tony, you won. He said, no, I did not. Chris Miller just won this contest. And
so that was later. So I was Crossbone.
And then we went out and saw Nirvana play that night.
Exactly.
That's so rad.
Exactly. But the thing about
Eric Nash and
Eric Nash was there. Yeah.
Eric Nash.
I have photos.
He got second in my mind, and then
he was killing.
Why am I drawing a blank? Minnesota.
Dave?
Dave LaRue.
God. He was doing like 3-minute long runs and not repeating a single trick.
Now you're talking this 91. Now we skipped to 91. Tom Boyle.
Yep.
He was in that contest.
Also there.
Yeah. That was a good contest.
So Peter,
that was probably the first year also that like Frazier and Neil Hendricks showed up.
Yep.
And it was like the East Coast takeover of these guys who just tweaked everything.
Murph ruled that contest
ridiculous degree. Yeah.
Murphy ruled that.
Yep.
Brian Pennington and I lived at the same time together at that time, and Frazier and Neil Hendricks stayed at our house.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to rewind back.
Okay.
The Kahuna. So again, the Kahuna was the reason we feel that it changed, because the California guys came in, and some of them could ride it, but they had no idea how fucking gnarly that ramp was, and it changed. And
unless it was like Miller, Caballero, Hosoi, Lester, they loved it. Yeah,
sure.
They were like, we can go big.
Also, metal ramps. I don't know if Kahuna had oil field coping, but oil field pipe, metal ramps. Big size, and Dennis built a fucking solid ramp.
Oh, yeah.
And I think the California guys were like, that's really when they came out and they were like, oh shit. And they see Johnny and Craig and Phillips and everybody just.
And the next year.
Ken and Troy and.
The next year, because the year before that, in 84, Powell, Stacy Peralta filmed the Bones Brigade video show, and a big part of that was Lance's backyard ramp.
Right.
The next year, 85, Lance comes here and they skate the Kahuna.
Right.
He went and took his ramp apart and redid it with bigger transitions and then put steel on it because he was so impressed with the ramp here.
That's
Again,
right.
the Kahuna.
Yeah.
Exactly.
He's like, I got to make my ramp bigger. I need bigger transitions.
Yeah,
Right.
I think that the Kahuna is, because there was always that, rivalry of like Cedar Crest, Kahuna, Cedar Crest, two totally different ramps. And I think the Kahuna to me was just, it was, like you said, it was kind of, it set the threshold. Cedar Crest was amazing and great, and structurally one of the most amazing ramps ever in the scene and everything. And that's
and all love to all the California skaters and everybody's a rad and all that, but you had to have the balls to fucking get on that ramp and do what the local guys are doing. And then you see Pennington and Nielsen coming up, Roper, Gentry, all these big names. But back to Furnee. So coming into skate the skate park and hanging out and being involved in the events, you got some stories, I'm sure. You got
so that summer, I think it was the summer of 88 or summer of 89 or whatever, Dave and Brian invited me down. I stayed, 3 weeks at Dave's house, 3 weeks at Brian's house. So it was like 6 weeks in Houston.
Right.
It was just amazing. Skating with Roper every day, getting to know some of the other guys. But just, skating with Brian.
I'll go ahead and apologize for Brett Roper right now.
Right. Yeah, no, he's amazing.
We went to high school together.
Right.
So.
Oh God,
love that guy.
Yep.
We go way back.
I'm skipping around here, but you're also a Cockfight Forever guy.
Absolutely,
you're a Cockfight Forever guy. You got anything to tell? We were just talking about Mike Money. Here's your chance to heckle the shit out of him.
Well,
he loves when we heckle him.
He's just. I don't even know if I could heckle him. I'd love to, but
he's a great guy.
He's one of the realest motherfuckers there is.
Right.
He's been 100% behind me, and it's not been because of my talent. I think it's been because of my attitude. Like
sure.
I want to skate. I don't skate great, but I'm still trying. And
you skate pretty damn well.
You skate pretty good.
Thanks. I have my days where I feel better than that, but Mike's always believed in me. Like he's been there like as a friend and been like, dude, I got you as long as I can make wood. And it's been an honor, really. I mean, it's really a friendship that's grown. Just to have somebody that gives a shit about you and actually like puts it where, like, here.
Yeah.
Like I was just walking around there. He's like, here, board.
Yeah.
That's
very cool.
It's kind of my board. Like it's not.
Now you didn't know Mike back in the days with Brian Pennington and all that. How did you come across getting to know Mike?
With
Brett Roper.
Yeah.
Okay, because Brett had his board
when
and all
Mike
that.
first started the company, I was like, I'm riding a Brett Roper no matter what.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
So that was kind of how that started. Got in touch, and Brett threw a vouch for me.
Right.
So that was good. But I mean, who doesn't like Mike? If you shoot straight, he likes you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh no, absolutely.
That's exactly what it was. Like I just wanted to make sure that I always shot straight with him, and was like, hey, like you're my friend.
And when he first started that company, I kind of joked with him about it. I was like, did you name it Cockfight just to see if you could get away with?
You know what it is?
No, what was it?
It's a hack.
It was a hack?
It was a hat at a gas station. He was just asking me if I knew that. And I was like, Mike, of course I did.
He just saw a hat with a cockfight on it. And
yes,
he thought
it was
that was
like a green hat at a gas station and had, two fighting cocks on it. It said Cockfight. Somebody's got one. I forget who was wearing it. But that's how he named the company.
That makes so much sense to me. That
that's
seems
how
See, we get the real truth here.
I thought he was just trying to make a skateboard company with a name that like you couldn't tell your mom.
He had no idea what to name.
Because he thought that was funny.
Hat. He's probably buying a $2 beer, and the ice thing was like, I need a hat. I'll take that hat.
But I knew from the very first, when he showed me the first designs he had, I was like, oh, the
I-45 logo?
Yeah, you're 100% going to be successful with this.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because it's you.
Yep.
And because I know you're only going to deal with people that you personally care about. You're not going to care about like, oh, this would be good for my company, because he doesn't give a shit about the money.
You also have to be pretty legit in his head. He's not doing he's no kookery whatsoever.
That's what I mean.
Well, he'll call your ass out on it.
Yeah. Oh, we know.
To
anyway,
this day,
how did this turn into a Mike Money?
To this
podcast?
day, I have tried unsuccessfully to buy Cockfight skateboards probably 40 times because they're always sold out of everything.
Yes, we know
immediately. Yes. So I think I've only ever bought one.
Right.
I mean, I went to high school with Brett. I've never been able to get a Brett Roper skateboard.
Wow.
And
He built
Brett has a stack. He has every board he ever rode stacked up in his
he
garage.
built my porch, and I've asked him for a board 100 times. Anyway,
Yeah, not going to get it.
Furnee. So you've been to this event, the Banger in the Hangar, here at Houston Vert Ramp, 3, 4?
It's my third time.
Third time.
Yeah, I missed the first one.
Why? What brings you back to this event and Texas? And what is it about what happens here?
A chance to come to Houston. The food, the people, just everything about Houston. Like I said, I wanted to move here right out of high school, and I just didn't have the balls to be honest. I was like,
Houston over Dallas.
Yeah, I didn't even know Dallas existed.
No hate, but just
not
Houston.
at all. I'd never been to Dallas, but I had been to Houston, and everybody here is so welcoming, and they were so welcoming. Like, Dave and Brian, like I said, I stayed there, but like they had something to do. It's like, hey, go hang out with this guy for a while. Like, you met so many people. It's I can't do this without like a P-Dub mention.
Right.
P-Dub.
Right. Just because like we were, went to his house like every other night and partied at his apartment or whatever. And it got gnarly, but the thing is like it was so real. Like everything was real about Texas.
Yeah.
And that was 88, 89, but it was real. And I'm coming of age, and I'm kind of like, no bullshit here.
Yeah, no bullshit, attitude, have fun. There's no fucking.
Yep.
Well, did it ever feel like part of the reason that it felt real was because nobody had any crazy starstruck dreams, like illusions that like, oh, I'm going to be a huge name pro. Like, you skate because skating's awesome, not because you think you're going to get something out of it.
Well, I'll say it again. I came to Texas with Brian.
Yeah.
And you want to talk about somebody like you could be really starstruck on Brian Pennington, especially in that circa.
Oh, yeah.
Real easy, but like we went street skating one night.
Then you hang out with him and you can't.
Right.
Because he's so down to earth.
Like, he's like, hey, let's go street skating in Houston. And we did. And like, we ended up in some like carved ice igloo in the middle of downtown and sat there for like 3.5 hours talking about family.
That's awesome.
Like this guy just, blew away everybody in a pro contest. But just such a friend.
Yeah.
That's
sure.
what it was, a friend. Like not.
So you were here in the heyday when Brian was really producing tricks and stuff. So
making shit up, going across the flat, calling it out, and then making it first run.
We know the
Revert channel.
We know the answer to this, but we'll stir a few feathers. My little saying here. Were you a witness of the Brian turning pro versus Magnuson? That event?
I didn't know about a versus. No.
Well, it was the event, and then Magnuson got first, and Brian
Shut
got
Up and
second.
Skate 88. It was the first contest on the Hurricane
Ramp,
and it was Brian's pro debut, and he qualified first.
Yeah.
And then in the finals, Magnuson got the win, but everybody who was actually in the crowd was 100% convinced that Brian had won the contest.
Judges there?
Well,
exactly.
And actually,
who
Brett
was the
Anderson,
judges?
our friend Brett Anderson, is going to tell you he voted for Magnuson over Brian.
That's because Brett was wrong.
Yes. The argument was this.
Say it. He was wrong.
Magnuson was on, and he was doing high airs, and McTwist and all that. Brian was doing tricks that nobody understood.
Couldn't understand. Yeah, people didn't understand what
because he learned them all on acid.
But also, I'll just say it right here, if nobody else will, that if you're all other things being equal, they did the exact same tricks. Brian Pennington versus Tony Magnuson. If you're giving it to Tony Magnuson, then that means style counts for nothing.
This is true.
Because Brian Pennington's one of the smoothest dudes you will ever see. And T-Mag is not.
I met him 2 years ago at this event, and I walked up to him, and I walked up to him.
He's a good dude.
He's a cool dude. So big
hate.
props to T-Mag. That's no hate. But I walked up to him and I go, do you know that we all love you, but there's a bunch of people in Texas that don't like you because you beat Pennington. Anyway, all right. We don't have a lot of time in these interviews. We're doing some short things, but there's a couple of questions I want to get through because we're doing this. Now, so everybody knows listening out there, Furnee is worth a few hours, but we've only got a little bit of time and we're trying to squeeze in a bunch of stuff. So,
right, exactly.
So I mentioned that. So tell us your thought about Wild Bill and Pro Design.
Well, I think he saved or, preemptively saved a number of my friends' careers. I mean, that's the easiest way to put it. Like, I've got a big concern over my friends and their longevity and everything, but You know, I bought the pads as soon as I could, you know, but I weighed like 120 pounds. So I bought them because it was cool.
Right.
Fast forward 25 years and I had PDs forever.
Right.
And, you know, my knees, fortunately, are still pretty good.
Right. Because of his pads.
Yeah, for sure. You know, and he'd talk to you on the phone forever.
Sure.
But, you know, he'd do what you want. He'd be like, hey, so anyways, like maybe, you know, put the caps up a little bit higher and can I get a fourth grommet in it or something like that? Like, yeah, sure. You know, if you're, you know, I'll make those today. Let me go ahead and stitch them up.
Right.
I used to send him my own fabric for my elbow pads.
Perfect.
Nice.
Yeah.
I really wanted, like, forever, like when everybody has that dream team.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted a fucking pair of PD elbows with red straps. It's like, well, you're not on the team. I'm
The
like,
original red straps were one of the original.
The team.
You can't get the
team.
red unless you're
that's
on the team.
Right.
And
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm not on the team. I'm not going to ask him to be on the team, but fuck, I want a pair of red PDs, the red straps. So I went kind of around the corner. I was like, hey, can I send you my own fabric?
Mm-hmm.
So it always had black straps, and he did one with neon green straps for me. But I'd go to the fabric store and buy, you know, a yard and a half of my own shit and send it to him. It was just awesome. Like the number.
So did you ever cover the straps with red?
No, I didn't want to fake it out. No, I didn't even want team stats. I didn't want to be like,
Right.
claim like I ride for Wild Bill. Like,
Right.
I wanted the fucking red straps because they were cool.
Because they were cool.
I wanted Klaus Grabke's pads in 1984 because they were green.
Yep.
You know,
Yep.
That's so rad. All right. Jeff Phillips.
yeah. How long do you have?
We're going to be doing a tribute episode, as you well know, about Jeff Phillips, and this is part of it. So,
Jeff Phillips taught
you know,
me how
hey,
to be
you've
cool
got
to
the
people.
floor.
Jeff taught me how to be cool to people, and he did this in a 30-second situation.
Okay.
12-year-old Grom, New Hampshire, bored out of my fucking head, 2 feet of snow on the ground, skating a basement quarter pipe. Directory assistance. Dallas, Texas, Phillips. Sounds good. Whatever. So
Wait, Phillips Parker used Phillips cold call his name.
absolutely. And Allison answered. He's like, no, Jeff's busy right now. Can I have him call you back? I'm like, yeah, like he's going to call me back. Okay, sure. Here's my number. So I go back down skating in my basement and phone rings. My mom's like, hey, your phone. I'm like, who is it? She's like, Jeff. I'm like, you fucking kidding me? So I run up and fucking Phillips called me back.
That's
some weird
awesome.
Grom. Call me back. And right there, I was like, it's a real motherfucker.
Yeah,
like,
Sure, yeah.
You know, I'm 12.
Mm-hmm.
Grom is shit before Grom was anything. And we talked for 45 minutes on the phone. And I swear to God, he's, you know, so what's it like in New Hampshire? What do you have to skate? Like, you obviously called me because you're a fan, but I don't want to know about you.
Right.
Do you know what you're 12? What year?
83, 84.
84, okay.
Like, right. This is Kona, like Sims, the first.
Sims.
Yeah. So he was my first pro board that I bought. So I was hyped on that.
The tie-dye.
No,
I'm
the
sorry,
breakout.
the breakout. I'm sorry, breakout.
The original breakout.
I should know that.
But the best thing was, you know, coming down to Houston is he was at the Hurricane.
Yep.
I'd never met him face to face. Yeah, we talked crazy shit. Like,
First impression, God, he's pretty tall.
no, I knew that.
Okay.
But you know, we met on deck, and he's like, "Great to put a face to a name." And then we went and skated Vagabond.
Oh, you got to skate Vagabond with
Vagabond.
Yeah, I got to skate Vagabond with Phillips, and it's amazing.
Have you seen yourself in any of the footage that's been released over the past few years that I've seen?
No, because I did not know what a round wall was.
Oh, you okay? Okay.
No, I skated,
But you went to go skate it with Phillips and
yeah, and
everybody was there.
I've got
Yeah.
2 pictures of him doing frontside craps.
Yep.
On like the missing coping section, like the one, the left side of the deep end.
Mm-hmm.
For those who don't know, Vagabond Pool in Houston is regarded as the top 2 pools, right?
Yeah, it was that and 34th.
The 34th and Miracle Street Pool, which I got a chance to. I got a chance to ride both, but Vagabond is probably the most famous, well-known pool,
and it had a better surface. Like it
rode great. I just wish I knew more about it.
It was
round wall.
You know, it was
fucked
a big clover with 2 shallow ends, and so the deep end had double hips that you could hit whether you were goofy or regular. They were both perfect to hit. And there was no coping because it was all flagstone coping, so it had been jacked out. So it was just a hard edge at the top of the tile. But the plaster was really smooth. It wasn't gritty at all.
Put that up to the camera. That is a photo. And that's a photo of?
That's a photo of Phillips.
In Vagabond Pool.
Early BBC days. He's got the hard-on pads on.
Yep.
Just right there.
Yeah,
now, is that a
frontside crail
regular
tap.
board or is that a BBC prototype?
That's a BBC
That's one of his-
prototype.
Because
That's one of his
he was
BBC
writing,
boards.
yeah, he
Yeah.
was writing a couple of prototypes.
Yeah, so that's got the vinyl cut decal on it early on.
So that's probably 88.
There's one for you. Where's the there's that's Craig in the Vagabond too. That red glove.
Right. Well, I would venture to say that
I
you
showed
also love Jeff Phillips. When people say they love Jeff Phillips,
Absolutely.
and we all know we're not bullshitting, but his legend is I mean, you know, obviously we wish we was here. There's no doubt about that, and we all know he'd be killing it. But
his mark
he's
on
just
skateboarding is so huge, from personal to like imagine what he would have done with a mega ramp.
Yep.
Okay, just imagine what he would have
I
done
don't
with
know
a
if
mega
I
ramp.
can imagine
just
that. That's
with
just
all the-
Can you
crazy.
imagine that Phillips air to fakie with the swing of the arm, just like a 27-foot air fakie? Because he would have just been like, "Fuck this, I'm going to do it."
Right.
You know,
And with all the new skate parks that are out there, he would just be crushing things.
yeah. Masters would be a whole different fucking story.
Well, and I feel like if he was still around, Dallas is currently the biggest city in the country that doesn't have a public skate park.
They're working on it, but it's
Yeah,
it's tough.
I feel like if Jeff was here, they would have had one 20 years ago, like
Sure.
all the other
oh,
cities.
easy. Yeah, yeah.
And maybe Dallas should name a park. Just go ahead and plan on having Jeff Phillips
Yeah, probably.
Memorial
But
Park, something like that. Hey,
Inspirational
Get your shit
park.
together,
Let's- yeah, I don't.
Right.
I hate the word memorial. Like inspirational park.
Inspirational. There you
in
go.
order to skate there, you have to do a giant straight leg frontside air. Rules are rules.
or a 7.5 foot boneless.
Jeez, yeah. But no, like I was saying, the influence, like to this day, like I don't make frontside airs often, but I make them out of inverts. Because Phillips would throw an invert in.
and he'd go bigger on the next wall.
Yes.
Yeah.
He would throw it in. And that was like, again, watching the videos growing up, the influence, like, you know, like I'll make a frontside air out of an invert before I do it out of anything else. And it's because I think about that, I'm like, chuck it in.
Yeah, but would you make a 7 foot lean air after you just did a frontside rock and roll? Because he did that shit too.
So was it Casel's ramp? Am I saying his name right?
Tommy Casel?
Yeah.
Yes.
So there's a video floating around. I think it's Tommy's ramp is what I've heard, but it's got cross grain plywood. Looks like about 8.5 foot transition.
Okay.
And Phillips did a 6 foot air, frontside air out of an invert on that. And you could see him struggle for speed on the invert and chucked in, but the plywood's cross grain.
Right. So
How the hell do you go 6 feet? Yeah.
Because your name was Jeff Phillips.
Just
Crazy shit.
incredible understanding. Like some people told me some stories about how he went out to the woods and did Area 51 stuff, and it's like that makes so much sense to me because the way that he thought, like I didn't know him really that well,
Right.
from the phone,
right.
the skate, but like his the way he thought about stuff, you could see it in his skating.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Easily see the skating.
yeah. He had like the fact that he would occasionally throw in a revert across the middle of the flat bottom.
Yeah.
Nobody else ever did that, but he would just land a trick and think, "No, I want to go backwards for my next trick."
I was supposed to go fakie.
Yeah, I was supposed to go
Right.
fakie and I didn't. I'll just do a 180 in the flat.
Yeah.
Where most people, 99% of people, if you just landed an air and you decide to do a 180 in the flat, you're gonna eat shit.
Especially on that Virginia Beach ramp.
Yes, because it was slick. That fiberglass.
Do you remember his quote about that?
Which he won that contest. Yes.
No, what was the
Sounded like a
quote?
fat man in corduroy pants walking.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
The dimples on it.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Man. All right. I think that's a great way to kind of tie this into a knot. Peter, we appreciate you being here. You're
Thanks
part
for
of
having me
the
here.
you're part of the Texas family for
I
not being a
appreciate that,
Texan.
guys.
We appreciate it.
It means the world to me. I saw when you guys were first starting this, and like you spoke up like on my behalf. You're like, oh no, he's family or whatever, and it was like, man, that's an honor, and it's it's an honor to do, and it's one to to make sure that I keep. So thanks for having me.
Well,
man.
and thanks for taking care of Brett Roper while he was living abroad in DC for all those years.
I don't know how much I took care of him, but
Well, you kept him on a skateboard and kept him skating vert, which saved his sanity. So that's a big thing.
yep,
Right.
yep,
Exactly.
absolutely. Well, he kept we'll do a Brett Roper episode. So
Oh yeah, at some point.
Exactly. Well, you are definitely family, Peter, and we
Thank you.
appreciate it for joining us. Again, you're listening to Won't Shut Up and Skate, the Banger and the Hangar Container interviews. That's Kerry Jackson. I'm Chip Queso.
That's Peter Furnee.
That's Peter Furnee.
thanks, guys. Appreciate the hell
We'll
out
be
of it.
back out some
thanks,
more.
dude.
Thank you, man.
All right, then. Cool.
All right.
Future's up to you.